Hi, Rod Menzel with Great Way Roofing on top of the roof of Portola Plaza here in Ventura, California. And first thing I'm going to do is going to talk quickly about the existing roof system. Then I'm going to talk about some top concerns I have with the project. And then lastly, I'm going to close with some recommendations. Here's my overall evaluation of the roof system. It's a cap sheet roof system, and it's got pretty decent pitch from the ridge point, which is right about here. And the water goes this direction and also will flow this direction. There are also drain systems along with overflows on the roof. It's got short parapet walls with a coping metal on top of the walls. And it's got these crickets that are built here. The purpose of a cricket is to divert the water. I do notice some ponding water areas. There's some equipment screens. A lot of times equipment screens are a source of roof leaks. However, these equipment screens are built on posts, which is very nice. There are several HVAC units on top of the roof. They're an older unit, and they're sitting on these, what we would call sleepers, maybe 4x4s or 6x6s, I'm not exactly sure. But they're sitting on top of here. Water is flowing right below here, and it's supposed to come out on this side. So I do have a small concern here that we want to address this water and how it's getting out. My other concerns for the project are really these ponding water areas. This isn't too bad right here, but we want to reinforce this area since we know that there's a decent sized pond here. A lot of times the pond can be eliminated by building the area up a little bit, so that's an option. Also by lowering what's causing the roof to pond, which is basically right about here. So if I can do something about that to get that a little bit lower, I might be able to get some of that ponding water off. Normally I'd be concerned about coping metal because the way it sits on top of the roof. However, this is a brick building, so I don't think any roof leaks are occurring because of the coping metal. So we will still want to seal this up, just make sure we got good seals here. Towards the front of the building here on McGrath, I noticed that there's a pretty good sized pond right here. Now, the water wants to slope here and the drain's right on the other side of this ridge. So it's having a difficult time to get to this spot. And I don't think there's much you can do because of this beam that's going right through here. So this is very strong and structural right there. And building this area up is definitely an option, definitely reinforcing it. The nice thing is it gets plenty of sun in this area. There's not a lot of shade, so the water should dissipate quickly. An option would be to add a drain right here in this area, but I'm not sure how critical that will ultimately be. Most of the rooftop flashings are in good shape. Some of them are dried out and cracked. Anything that's severely bent, this is actually okay. It's probably bent just to keep any wind-driven rain from coming in. But anything that's in really bad shape, we're going to want to go ahead and replace. As I mentioned earlier, the water is running from this ridge at this point where my foot's at, down towards the drains which are over there. And the water is going to run right in between these supports for this unit here. First I was a little concerned. However, the water does run out this way. Ultimately, we want to make sure that we've got a very good seal inside of there, and that's possible. As an option, these units would be easy to disconnect here, and we could have these disconnected by an HVAC contractor so we could roof underneath there nicely and put them right back. Overall maintenance on this roof is going to be pretty straightforward. I noticed some pine needles piling up here at the drains, only on this side of the roof. And so maintenance in general is going to be pretty limited. Abandoned equipment or something that's no longer being used, I'm not sure if this is being used or not, but if that is the case, it'd definitely be worth, and I'm pretty sure it's not being used. We'll want to get off anything that we possibly can. Satellite dishes, this one's not going to be an issue. There's that one down there. There's a couple more of these. All the satellite dishes, thankfully, are up off the roof deck, which, if we're going to do the roof, would make it a challenge. Here's an exposed electrical box that we're going to want to make sure that that gets sealed up. I'm assuming the sliding's still working, so we're going to want to seal that up, get that taken care of. Any of these old blocks are going to be replaced. You can see a good example of that. We're going to want to replace those as well. Here's an example of a small pond, and the reason this pond is here is because of this ridge. If I back my shadow out of the way, you can see that this right here has got a ridge to it. So we want to make sure that we cut that ridge down and eliminate that. Any bad ridging like that or any bad cap sheet we're going to remove as well prior to installation of the new system. One of the benefits of an elastomeric product is that you got a good adhesion and you don't end up with situations like this where you can slide your hand all the way in there. So that's definitely a possible roof leak. This new product will make sure that all those seams are sealed, and they'll stay sealed as well. In addition to the system, once again, we're going to make sure that we reinforce all of these crickets with a 20-inch roll of polyester fabric and a fluid applied coating. This will really make this roof in that particular area very strong. Once again, any low spots, we're going to do the exact same thing. Add tremendous strength to the roof system. So now on to my recommendations. This is a great candidate for a fluid applied, polyester reinforced acrylic roof system. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to spray down some emulsion, 6 gallons per square, embed a polyester fabric, let that cure, then we're going to put a white coating over that at a 3 gallons per square. You can also add an additional ply of polyester fabric to emulsion. You could also look to certain areas like this right here and make sure that those areas are all going to be reinforced. All the penetrations, anything where the roof, something comes through the roof, that's all going to get 3/4 with elastomeric caulking. The walls are going to have to make sure we have 2 plies there at the walls and the waterways. And these HVAC units are going to want to make sure that we use an elastomeric caulking around that as well. Any questions, please call me at 805-523-2550.